Canada's free press is dying and the Liberals are the ones killing it. You see, Canada has dropped again in the World Press Freedom Index. According to the 2025 report by Reporters Without Borders, Canada now ranks 21st in the world with a score of 78.75. Now, that's a significant decline from 14th place in just 2024, and it's a steep 13th place drop since 2015. Remember that year? That's the year the Liberals took power. Now, this isn't a slide, it's a collapse, and it's happening by design. While Mark Carney and the Liberals like to crow about supporting a reliable, independent press, what we actually have is a government-funded media cartel and an active campaign of censorship against independent voices. Let's start with the facts. Bill C-11 handed the CRTC sweeping powers to regulate online content, including yours. Bill C-18 forced tech companies to bankroll failing legacy media outlets, prompting Meta to block Canadian news outright. And now Mark Carney wants to clean up online pollution. That's his euphemism for purging dissenting voices.
And one of the observations we had, one of the issues we're dealing with, there's many serious issues that we're dealing with respect to crimes of violence, conjugal violence, drugs, fentanyl, others. But one of them is with respect to really just the sea of misogyny, anti-Semitism, hatred, conspiracy theories, this sort of pollution that's online that washes over our virtual borders from the United States. And that's a mild version of that. That's fine. I can take the conspiracy theory and all that. But the more serious things is when it affects how people behave in our society. When Canadians are threatened going to their community centers or their places of worship or their schools, or God forbid, when it affects our children. So we, my government, if we are elected, will be taking action.
At the same time, Carney has pledged $150 million more to the CBC on top of the $1.4 billion it already receives each year.
Canada's identity and institutions are under attack by foreign interference. And instead of defending them, Pierre Poilievre is following President Trump's lead and taking aim at our institutions like CBC, Radio-Canada. Pierre Poilievre pretends that you can keep one but not the other. But he's not Solomon. You can't split this baby. His attack on CBC is an attack directly on Radio-Canada, and it is an attack on our Canadian identity. If elected, my government will take action to enshrine and protect and strengthen CBC Radio-Canada for generations to come. We will modernize the mandate of our public broadcaster. We will give it the resources it needs to fulfill its renewed mission and ensure that its future is guided by all Canadians and not subject to the whims of a small group of people led by ideology. When it comes to this most important of Canadian institutions, all Canadians should have their say, not just a small group. We will not only increase CBC Radio-Canada's funding by $150 million, but we will also make this funding statutory, meaning that Parliament as a whole will need to approve any future changes to its funding, not just the Cabinet. By strengthening our public broadcaster, we're protecting our identity and our culture and helping it to shine.
Add that to the $600 million media bailout fund for struggling liberal-friendly outlets, and what you get isn't a free press, it's a paid press. And the payment comes with strings. We saw it firsthand during the French language leaders debate, where the CBC and other subsidized media outright lied about the presence of independent journalists. They smeared reporters who dared to show up and ask questions, not because they weren't real journalists, but because they weren't on the government's approved list. Meanwhile, independent outlets like Rebel News are denied access to press conferences, banned from leadership debates, physically removed for daring to do journalism, and still Carney has the gall to say we have a free press. No, what we have is a two-tiered media system. One tier is paid, protected, and praised for towing the liberal line. The other is punished, excluded, and smeared for refusing to. The Reporters Without Borders report warns that economic fragility and government interference are the biggest threats to press freedom globally. Now, in Canada, those things aren't threats. They are liberal policy. This government doesn't fear misinformation. It fears journalism it can't control. And that's why the press freedom rankings will keep falling until Canadians stand up and say enough. Because someone has to hold the powerful to account, and it sure as heck won't be the CBC. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At Rebel News, it's our mission to tell the other side of the story and to hold the government to account. Part of that involves access to information filings, and boy, we do a lot of them. To help offset our filing and research costs, please go to rebelinvestigates.com.